Hey everybody, it's Dr. Paul Thomas with Startup DPC, and this is the Startup DPC Show. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Tonya McDonald. She's a pediatrician from Dallas, Texas. She started Radiance Peds, and notably, she's a graduate from Harvard Medical School, and she did her pediatric training at Baylor. So without further ado, welcome, Tonya. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Paul, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. You know, this conversation came about because I was talking with a pediatric resident in the Startup DPC Show episode 5 about them wanting to do direct primary care when they graduated. And here you are already doing it. You just launched recently and you're growing your pediatric DPC practice, house call only, which is super interesting, super unique. And I just think that everyone should hear from you and hear your perspective. So tell me the story. When did you start? When did you know that you wanted to do house call peds? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? And tell me the story.
So the story is actually, it starts about 10 years ago when I was working for the U.S. Army in Germany, and we had a contractor who was talking about doing his concierge practice and doing all house calls. And I remember thinking, you're crazy. Why would you do that? No one can make that happen. But he was also talking about having people pay what to me seemed like an obscene amount of money up front and still have insurance to do it. And I kind of put it on the back of my shelf and didn't really think about it until about 3 years ago. I was working for Children's Hospital here in Dallas and found myself just tired of trying to see 24, 25, 30 kids a day, especially when I had really complicated patients. I had a lot of Medicaid kids, super hard social determinants of health kind of patients.
Yeah.
And just 10 minutes just didn't work.
Tell us how you really feel.
It didn't work for me. Well, I like to talk, so it really didn't work for me,
right,
honestly. Totally. But I didn't want to leave those patients. I didn't know what else I was going to do. And as Providence, luck, God would have it, got laid off. There was a restructuring was the phrase they used.
Oh, of course.
And our practice got partnered into another group. That group was much more of your typical high NP, low physician ratios. Got laid off, which was great because I got a severance package, I would definitely recommend over just quitting.
Yep.
And decided, okay, I don't know what I want to do, take a few months off, and this idea of this direct primary care that I didn't know was called direct primary care at the time. I just knew there were a few docs out there who were doing monthly memberships for their patients, not taking insurance in the community. And I kept wondering, I wonder if I could do that in peds. I wonder if I could do that in peds. I don't know if I can do that in peds.
And I think that something unique about your practice is your geographic location and the income status of the people that you serve in your community. Could you talk a bit more about what your community is like, the ethnic makeup, racial makeup, the income levels, et cetera?
So my practice is actually in the southern side of Dallas. And if you live in Dallas or have ever been to Dallas, you know that there's a lot of money in the city, but most of that money is north of downtown. And so the part of Dallas that my clinic is set up in is actually closer to 40% African-American, about 30% Hispanic, Latin American, and then the rest Caucasian with a little bit of other ethnicities mixed in. Median income in the community is about $55,000 a year. And so it's not really a wealthy part of the city, though there are pockets of great wealth down here. I tell people one of the things that's interesting living in the South is you start to see how racism and discrimination of past decades kind of divide the money and where people live. So I'm actually in a very diverse population, and this is what I want to serve. I'm a Black female pediatrician. I would love to take care of Black kids. I mean, I'll take care of non-Black kids too, but it's something about seeing someone who looks like you that helps you know that you can be something different in your life. So that's a part of why I chose to do my practice down here, which is
amazing.
which is entertaining because I also have patients who live in uptown and downtown and the northern side of the city as well. But my primary focus is this community is in this particular community where there's not a lot of doctors, there's not a lot of healthcare. It's somewhat of a medical desert. And so we've got patients who actually will drive 45 minutes to go to the north side of town to access care.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so that's where I am.
Yeah, we have something similar in Detroit, just to interject some of my own experience. Intentionally, I created my clinic in a health professional shortage area where there aren't a lot of medical providers, not a lot of doctors. There's a couple of chiropractors in town. But, for us, it was really important to be in that same vein. So it's really cool to hear your story and how you're doing it in Dallas. And it's important to know that for people inside and outside the movement, that you can be successful in whichever community you desire to practice in.
I think it's so important that nowadays everybody, if they hear about a model, when you say members only kind of clinic, they think, oh, it's only for the wealthy and you're excluding the middle class. And I tell people, actually, my goal is to have those what I call the middles, the real true middles. They don't make enough really, or they can't afford expensive health insurances. They make too much for Medicaid or CHIP. They're willing to save up and cash pay for their clinic care, but they don't have access. Those are the people I want in my practice because they understand the value of the cost savings that I'm trying to give them through direct care and not having to have an overhead. I mean, when you're only house calls, you don't have the overhead of a building, so you don't have to charge as much to see your patients and to give them good care.
Yeah, and speaking of charging people money for the service, let's talk about your price points and why you came to that price point and how many patients you hope to have in your panel, et cetera.
So my current prices are, my kids under 2 are $125 a month. Kids between the ages of 2 and 16 are $100 a month. And then 16 through graduation from college is $75 a month. Though a few of my in-state students, if you show me your proof of being an in-state student, I'll give you a discount if you're local to the Dallas area. So for those families where you have a college student in town, but mom and dad maybe live in a whole nother state, but they want that, able to have that relationship with a doctor. I know how hard it can be to even get your student into a college health center.
Oh, totally.
Because they won't go. Not that they're not there, they just won't go.
Right.
So some of those I do some special deals for some of those students, especially the ones who are paying for their own college, because it's expensive. And you still need good health care when you're in college. But so on average, my patients pay me $100 a month. If you have more than 2 kids, there's discounts for kids 3+. Because
so if you have more than 3 children in your family, you do a little bit of a discount.
Yes,
there.
And I actually have a maximum, so I won't charge any given family more than $450 a month. And
that's awesome.
Because if you have 6 kids, you're going to be busy. We're going to be busy. I'm going to see you a lot, but let's be honest. If I go in to see one kid who I think has the flu, we're going to treat the whole family anyway. So it's typically one house call. You can see 2 or 3, so I don't need to charge individually for the older kid or the extra kids. Older kids is really how I think of it.
Awesome. So, we talked before about how you saw some things in the marketplace, like midwives and others charging for home delivery, pretty high prices, especially in your community and the people that you want to serve. So could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so Dallas has a huge birthing community. There's a lot of midwives, doulas. There's a lot of home births being done down here. The thing that scares most pediatricians when you say home birth, but it's amazing when you start to hang out and travel or go on a home birth with a midwife and a doula, you realize, oh, okay, it's not just willy-nilly happening in a tub. But a lot of the price ranges in the Dallas area for a midwife to cover the care for a mom and then baby through 6 weeks after delivery, anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000 in Dallas.
Sure.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a ton of money.
It's a ton of money. And I was like, if you can pay $5,000 to cover 9 months of care, $100 a month isn't a lot. to take care of your kid.
That would get you, 6 years of coverage, let's say, in your practice.
Exactly.
Or if they are paying that $12,000, that's 12 years of coverage for that child. So
right. And so in my mind, I was like, it really was important to me to understand the value per hour here. So that's like what midwives, doulas can charge $2,000 or $3,000 as well per delivery. And they're literally taking care of moms typically in the last few months of pregnancy, and they're there for the delivery. And maybe a few will do some postpartum stuff for like a couple of weeks, but it's not a lot of time. And then I have a friend who does lash extensions, and she pays people pay her $150 for the first visit, and then it's $75 every few weeks for their maintenance on their lash extensions.
Yep.
So
right,
it's hard to not justify $100 a month. And part of knowing my value is why when people say to me, "Oh, you're too expensive," I can say, "Okay," and walk away and not sweat that, okay, that fell through because they thought I was too expensive, because I realized that people who value you will pay you what you're worth. And those who don't want to pay you what you're worth probably wouldn't pay you consistently for a long term, even if you were half the price, because they just don't value you.
Right.
But I had to get to this. Like it wasn't like the first day that I was like, oh yeah, and I'm gonna stick to this forever. There would definitely have been some days where I was like, well, maybe should I look at pricing different? There's my fellow pediatricians who are doing this, we're on a Facebook group together, can tell you there have been some long, circular conversations about, do you up your price? Do you drop your price? Do you do you stick to membership only? Do you let people do one-time visit walk-ins? It's always a question, but right now I feel very comfortable with where I've settled and sticking to that for this, at least for the foreseen future.
Awesome. So we talked a bit about revenue, and let's talk about the other side of the balance sheet. So you're doing house calls only. Talk to me about what your expenses are like. How much are you paying to do house calls? Do you do it out of a car? Do you have a cooler in your backseat? How do you give people vaccines? Tell me more.
It's actually quite fun. So I work out of a co-working space I'm surrounded by other entrepreneurs. One, because I didn't want my home address as my business address.
Amen. Great move.
That is key.
Yep.
Two, I found that being in a co-working space surrounded by entrepreneurs who are not medical is amazing, because they're not risk adverse. They're all about new ideas and trying stuff new, and they bring up perspective.
Doctors are risk averse?
Oh. I don't know. I know. Shocking. Shocking. If you weren't risk averse before you got into medical school, we're so risk averse coming out of it.
Right. Totally.
And I mean, we're well trained to do what we do, but we're trained to do it within a system. And when you say to someone, I'm going to do it different, I mean, come on, every time, who hasn't had that attending who you're looking at cross-eyed because they're older and they do things that the residents were shaking their heads behind them? Right. I mean, that was a part of residency, right? Was training the new interns not to do what Dr. So-and-so said that was the standard 40 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, so hanging around entrepreneurs, small business owners, variety. I've got people here who do marketing. I've got people who are running like a care management. They do like care management for Medicare patients, which has been great because they've ended up being a great referral source. And also we can talk about HIPAA compliance and how do you make that happen with clouds and things. I have IT guys, but just sitting at a table around different business people with different ideas was great for me, which added a value that is so beyond what I pay in my $300 a month rent for four tables in the space. I can't even tell you. Plus I get to store all of my excess medical equipment at the co-working space. So it's not in the trunk of the car and it's not at my house. So that's a gift as well. That's and then awesome. I bought a car. I went ahead and bought a separate car to be the work car to do house calls out of for two reasons. It's easier and cheaper to commercially insure a business car separately than your personal one. If you've ever tried, it's just a mess.
That's awesome.
And I was able to get like an 05 car with like only 18,000 miles on it. So it cost me next to nothing. And I have a car payment of $230 a month in the business's name, really to help build Radiance's credit score, not because I couldn't have just bought the car outright.
Sure, of course. It's a smart move.
And then all your medical equipment's portable. So between a Pete's Pal, Henry Schein, Amazon, splitting costs with local friends. So one of my colleagues, Andrea Wadley, who has Pediatrics 127 in Colleyville and is doing the same thing. We've split supplies because something comes in a bulk of 10 and you don't need 10. So here, I'll give you half, I'll take half. Really
awesome.
been able to keep costs down, but I also don't buy more than I need. So I don't have, I buy my gloves at Walmart because I don't really need 5 boxes of medium-sized, large-size, and small-size gloves because I'm not stocking rooms. So I just need enough gloves for me.
And then in Texas, are you able to dispense medications?
We are not able to dispense medications in Texas. So that is not an issue for me right now. We'd like to be able to dispense medications, and that will change. That'll change operations when we get to that, when that gets passed in the state and we get to that point.
That's awesome.
But for now, so the only thing that I have to think about, honestly, is vaccines, which can be incredibly expensive.
Yeah, can you talk to me about that? Like, what do you do to work around that, or how do you work in that system?
I've worked a couple of things. I have partnered with some pediatricians in town who I do locums for, and they have standard pediatrics offices with the big fridge and their VFC vaccines and their pay patient vaccines. And I buy my vaccines off of them 1 dose at a time as needed.
That's awesome.
We
Such a smart move.
We both have Pete's Pals accounts, so we know in January what the vaccines are going to cost for the year. And so I'll go in and tomorrow I'll need a Pediatrix. I'm going to go pick up a Pediatrix. They keep a log. We both keep a log. And at the end of every month, I give them a payment of basically the at cost price plus a little bit on top of it just because they pay to store everything. And so I've been able to keep that cost to nothing. Oh, and then I bill my patients for that cost. So I let families know ahead of time, hey, you're going to get your 4-month shots. They're going to cost this much. And that's going to be added to your invoice. If you want to pay me for them, if you want me to do them, that's what it's going to cost you. And then if they don't want me to do them, I have some patients who don't have insurance and they go to local county and they get them done at the local county office for $5 a shot or something like that.
That's awesome.
Through VFC.
Yep. That's great.
And then I have a few patients who, my older kids, over the age of 7, pretty much they can go to any local pharmacy and get their shots done. So mom will go to the local pharmacy and get immunizations there, directly paid by their insurance with no copays, which is cheaper than what I would do.
Right.
And then I have a few patients who insurances will let us bill through VaxCare. And so we'll bill them through VaxCare. And VaxCare basically provides vaccines. You have to store them. And I'm working with another friend who has a VaxCare account. Shh, don't tell anybody.
This is going to go on our blog.
I know. No, I'm just kidding. No, but VaxCare is a service for someone that you can actually bill directly to insurance. And then the patients get their vaccines directly back. The insurance pays for it, and then you don't have to pay for those vaccines. So that's definitely a lot of pediatricians who are doing this are using them as a way to get their vaccines. But there are a lot of
I'm sharing my screen here.
Okay.
So if you're watching at home, it's vaxcare.com. And
yes.
I don't think they're in Michigan yet, but they are in Texas.
They are in Texas. And then the other thing that I have found, now I'm not doing this, I'm not big enough to need it yet. I will say that my practice has a fair number of alternate schedule, vaccination schedule, non-vaxxers, which from a business perspective is actually much cheaper. From a pediatrician perspective is a lot scarier.
Right.
But Texas is definitely a free will state. And so, I mean, if your patient has a waiver from the state to not get immunized, you can't really argue with them not doing it. They're going to get to go to school. They're going to get to go to daycare. So, but I just focus on building relationships. But I've had colleagues in other states who they've found small pharmacies to partner with, and they actually go to that local pharmacy. They write scripts for all their patients' vaccines for the month. They pick up those vaccines so that each vaccine is literally individually labeled for the patient. Then they store them in their fridge and freezers as they need to, and then distribute them as needed each month for the patients that they pick them up for. So they know who, because you know who needs a 2-month visit, 4-month visit, 6-month visit, so you know what shots you're going to be giving,
Right.
and you can do that ahead of time. But that's also a way to minimize costs as a pediatrician for vaccines.
Let's chat a little bit more about your other overhead costs. Like, let's talk about your EMR or malpractice insurance. People always have questions like, oh man, my malpractice is going to be my biggest expense. Can you talk about that, or?
Malpractice for me has not been my biggest expense. It's actually, well, it'll go up next month, so I don't know what it'll be in March. But I was lucky enough that all my previous coverages were occurrences, so I did not need to pick up tail when I picked up my new coverage. Praise God for that.
Nice.
And so I went ahead and got a claims policy. I know we could go, people can argue back and forth. Do you do claims? Do you not do claims? Do you get a tail? My advantage for right now with claims is because I'm only a part-time clinic, because of my such a small patient volume, I was able to get a claims policy for basically about $71 a month.
Wow.
Now it'll double next year, and it'll probably go up by like quadruple that by the time it like maxes out for pediatrics. But I shopped around like 4 or 5 different agencies to try and see what was going to be the best price for me. But I think it's really important. DPC, you are not a standard practice. You do not have 15 to 2,000 patients on your panel, which is the risk that they're assuming they're taking on with most of your malpractice insurances.
Yep.
So making sure they knew that, hey, I only have, at the time I signed up, I only had 7 patients. I told him at most I'd have like 100 to 150 at the end of the year. Nowhere close to that right now, but that's okay. And so the agent put me in as a part-time provider because I'm only covering a very small panel, and that dropped the cost of my insurance as well. So I expect it to double in March and then be triple. So I expect it to max out at about $300 a month, between $300 and $400 a month. But that's also because I'm in the state of Texas, and Texas has a very physician-friendly kind of tort system and tort law, so our malpractice here is a lot less than it would be for colleagues in other states.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to take people on a brief tour of your website here, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Going to head over to this Google Chrome here, check out the Radiance Pediatrics site. One thing I really liked about here, you just kind of lay out your services. That's a nice thing to know. I love this professional headshot that you have. I think it's so important. Whenever you have your website, you should definitely have this. And then bonus points if you're able to include that on your other social media channels.
Yes.
And then I like that you list your mission, vision, and values. I think it's really important to communicate to your community who you are, why you're doing this, and what it's going to look like going forward. And then your membership prices. So if you didn't hear earlier, these are prices. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was this really nice thing that you had from Harvard Medical School. Like we said, you were a 1998 grad from Harvard Med School, and they actually featured you in one of their newsletters. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so here's what's crazy about that. I'm still not sure how the editor of the magazine knew about me. But what was interesting is I was actually at my 20th reunion the summer before I launched Radiance. Like, I got laid off the same week that I went to my 20th year reunion, and I remember telling my classmates, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea what we're going to do now. I'm taking the summer off, and then I'm going to figure out the rest of my life. And what was amazing is the amount of encouragement I got from my classmates about taking that break as an opportunity to reassess medicine and what I wanted to do and how I wanted the next half of my career to look, the next 20 years to look. And so that really encouraged me as I was thinking about DPC to go for it, because it's amazing to have something like having 150 people who are physicians cheering you on, going, do it, do something different, be an outlier. But back to the article, I got a call and then an email from the author saying, hey, we're going to be doing this article on different ways alums are doing pediatric care, and your name came up, and I'd love to interview you for this article. It's like, okay. let's be honest, marketing 101, free marketing is the best marketing, right?
Yeah, totally. If they reach out to you, you
if
got
they
to
reach
take
out
it.
to you, you got to take it. And so we did a phone interview, and then the next thing I got was, hey, we've located a photographer in the area who would love to have follow you out on a house call.
Oh,
Can
wow.
you? And so that's what we did. And I contacted one of my families, and they were totally open to it and willing. And the next thing you know is here we are on this article. And so we're in my patient's home for this picture. That little one is my patient. He was actually my very first patient who signed up with me. His mom called me ready to sign up 2 months before my clinic actually opened, because he's a January baby. And I was like, you're going to have to wait. She'd heard about me from her doula. And they are really probably one of my biggest advocates. Mom tells everybody about me. She brags about the fact that her pediatrician comes to her house. I also get fed by them when I'm there half the time.
It's amazing.
Nothing like having the Jamaican aunties make you, peas and rice and oxtail because you're there.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, I might have to let everybody measure their height when I come over and get on the scale, including, the aunties too. But, it's okay. But it's
awesome.
fun. It's fun. And so that's how that article came about. And I didn't expect to be the lead picture. So that picture you see is actually in the table of contents. And my story starts the article and ends the article. And that was surprising to me. But I'm super excited about it, from the fact that to have your medical school show what you're doing as something that's innovative and important and a great opportunity to change the way we practice medicine was really encouraging. So, and I needed that, because I was about 6 months in when that article came out, and I was already like, what have I
done? That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate your insights. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I think everybody should hear this story. Thanks everybody for watching today. If you want more content like this, it's on our blog, startupdpc.com/blog. Or if you want to take a deeper dive and take one of our courses, you can go through some of those on branding and marketing, how to write a business plan, etc. That's all there at startupdpc.com as well. So Tonya, sincerely thank you for your time. And if you have any last insights for everybody, here's your platform.
I would say the most important thing you can do is find a tribe. There's no way Radiance would exist if it were not for the other pediatricians who are doing DPC, who I've met through our Facebook group, Andrea Watley over at 127 Pediatrics in Colleyville, who partners with me for coverage. So when one of us is out of town, we have someone as a backup, which even if we don't ever use each other, it's just good to know you have. And then, people like Paul, yourself, and others who've done this ahead and have the passion of sharing it with others. I didn't have to recreate a wheel. I could adjust and modify things that already existed, which is a great gift. So I would definitely say, if you want to do DPC, it can be done, but also be ready to dive in and get to know a whole new tribe of people, because we're definitely a different breed of people doing this.
Totally different. And if you ever go to the conferences, you know that pretty much right away. It just feels different.
It does. It does.
Well, thanks again. I really appreciate the time. And thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day and good luck starting and growing your DPC practices. Take care.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is Dr. Paul Thomas, and I hope you really enjoyed that episode. We have been working really hard to create a ton of content on our website, startupdpc.com. You can navigate over to this Take Action page if you want to take a deeper dive into growing your direct primary care practice. We've written a couple courses and filmed a couple courses. There's audio, video, and written content on these courses. We have 3 offerings right now: how to attract more patients to your direct primary care practice, how to write a direct primary care business plan, and how to lease or build out the perfect space for your direct primary care practice. I think that these are all tremendously useful tools. If you click through these Take the Course buttons, it will take you to the Teachable page where you can take this course and really dive in and start and grow your direct primary care practice. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Take care.